What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, a big day for cryptocurrency was seen today in the courts. That's right, Coinbase against the SEC. Now, it's been a very interesting day. The markets have stayed pretty flat. We also heard from one of those ETF providers. They have up sticks and they are moving on. So why did the price not move? And what do you need to know about this SEC and Coinbase case? Because this is a pivotal moment for cryptocurrency. Well, guess what? I got you covered. We're going to break it down for you in this video, as well as taking a look at exactly what went on in that courtroom today. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and smash that like button. And with that being said, let's get into it. So like we said, Gary Gensler versus Coinbase. It's been going on for about 12 months now, aligned to the staking as well as many other aspects of the Coinbase exchange. Now, don't forget, Coinbase did file to be a public traded company. You can buy stocks and shares within the Coinbase company, and obviously the SEC did approve it, but they went into battle today in court, and a federal judge residing over this, whether there is a case to answer for or not. Now, we talked over the 4 potential outcomes of this case, but right now, like I said, Gary Gensler against Brian Armstrong. Very, very interesting. So what did we get? Ultimately, like I said, it definitely was pretty interesting in the courts. The federal judge blasted the SEC during the first oral arguments. So Judge Catherine Polk-Fallier started off today's hearings, ultimately giving a view around Coinbase's case by saying, and I quote, "DeFi people giving credit for filing a ready, fine, amicable brief on behalf of Coinbase a month ago, which expected blockchain staking arguably better than the Securities and Exchange Commission had previously done." Ultimately, their explanation was much more aligned to what she could understand versus the SEC's ruling on whether they should be allowed to do it or not. And I think this set the stage and ultimately the sentiment that came along with it. Now, interestingly, the SEC's argument was that the Howey test ultimately is not being done and that Coinbase are trying to manipulate that to deliver under a slightly changed Howey test. And remember, the Howey test ultimately originally brought by to establish whether something is a security or not. And I think this was the back and forth that came in. It says, broadly speaking, Coinbase spent the 5-hour hearing arguing that the SEC is using an overbroad interpretation of Howey and that none of the 12 tokens on Coinbase platform that the agency alleges are securities are as such. Now, remember, there are things like Chiliz, Solana, Matic, Polkadot, and many, many others. So it's an important moment for cryptocurrency. Bear in mind, 13 tokens are classed as securities based on the SEC. And I think that's very, very interesting. Now, what happens? Well, ultimately, the federal judge decides on what happens and where this goes forward. The point here is, though, is whether it's or not to be thrown out. You can see that Judge of the U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York, is now deciding whether or not to toss out the Securities and Exchange Commission's case against Coinbase, which would be a huge thing for the cryptocurrency market as well as Coinbase itself. People been buying stocks and shares ultimately in Coinbase, expecting the move. Now, don't forget, they are some of the custodians for those ETFs. So Coinbase probably feels like it's in a very good position based on what's coming out. Equally, we do know that it's the tokens themselves that is the issue, whether that be the staking side of things or much more. That is where the problem sits. And I think that is kind of how they're all working out. However, this is the timeline for Yunos. Her eventual decision expected in coming weeks, though she didn't hint at a timeline. This could even go on for a number of months. We saw that with the XRP case. So very important, has to be worked through, critical that we get the right outcome on this. And I think at the moment, the SEC is on the back foot. Someone talked about this in my live stream, that they are just throwing punches wherever they can and hoping that something does stick. So what have we got going on in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency markets right now? Well, the price has been pretty stagnant. You can see here just around that 200 MA as we oscillate between it, still under the volume price index on the 4-hour. I'd like to see a break above this line here, 43,231, where we want to see Bitcoin push towards. I think depending on what happens tomorrow, could be an interesting move in the markets. Those ETFs obviously not quite delivering on what we expected. VanEck, like I said, pulling out of theirs. The rest of the market is down 1.68 trillion. The global market volume down a little bit, but again, we move towards the back end of the week. So it could be a very, very interesting few days as this court case does continue to move out. But at the minute, Coinbase do feel like they're in the driving seat. Gary Gensler, well, he's got a bit of work to do. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think the SEC is going to win, or are you rooting for Coinbase? And let me know what you think, weeks or months. I'm always interested to get your views on anything. Don't forget, check out some of the links in the description if you want to help out the channel. And as ever, thank you so much. Subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.